Welcome everyone. I hope you're not just watching this video. I hope you're here to wake up, because today I'm not going to motivate you. I'm going to give you a mirror that will show you the truth. Not the truth about the world. Not the truth about your job, your money, your parents, or your past. No, I will show you the truth about you. The truth about the one thing that is silently shaping your entire life, even when you're not paying attention to it. Your choices. Every failure, every success, every regret, every breakthrough is not luck, not fate, not destiny. It is a choice, small, silent, repeated. And what you don't realize is that you are just one choice away from a completely different life. But most people never make that choice. They wait, they hope, they complain, they scroll, and they don't even realize they are choosing all of it. Today, you will realize what you've been doing to yourself. And when this video ends, you will never see your life the same way again. It will also improve your English because here, you don't just learn English, you feel it, you grow with it. So listen carefully. Let every word hit you. Now, let's begin. The deep psychology behind choice, why we keep choosing the wrong life and how to break it. Let me ask you a question. Why do smart people stay stuck? Why do people say they want to be successful but continue watching Netflix for hours? Why do people say they want to change but keep doing the exact same things every day? The answer is simple but dangerous. They are not aware of the hidden psychology behind every choice. Your brain hates hard choices. It is a survival machine. It is not designed for success. It is not designed for dreams. It is designed to keep you alive. And to the brain, the best way to stay alive is to stay comfortable. Every time you choose between waking up early or sleeping in, starting a business or staying in a job you hate, facing pain or avoiding it, your brain screams, choose comfort, choose safety, even if it destroys your future, even if it leads to years of regret. Because to the brain, safety feels more important than success. That's the trap. Every choice is controlled by emotion, not logic. You think you're making logical decisions, but you're not. You're making emotional decisions and justifying them later. You say, I didn't go to the gym because I was tired. But the truth is you didn't go because the emotional pain of starting was stronger than the emotional reward of change. Success is not about making good choices. It's about training yourself to make emotionally painful choices every day without escaping. Here's the brutal part. Every time you choose comfort, you reinforce a loop. You're not just making one choice, you're building a default setting. The brain learns, oh, this is what we do. We skip the workout. We delay the work. We avoid the risk. And it becomes easier to do it again. This is how people repeat the same life for years. One bad choice repeated. One wrong relationship. One missed opportunity. One daily escape. One excuse that becomes a lifestyle. Your identity is just a collection of past choices. You think you're shy, you chose that label. You think you're lazy, that's the result of 1,000 lazy choices. You think you're not confident, that's not personality, that's repetition. Your identity is not written in stone. It's built moment by moment from the decisions you make when nobody is watching. If you want to change who you are, you don't need a new life. You need new choices. The most dangerous choice is no choice at all. Most people don't choose growth or comfort, they simply avoid choosing. They live on autopilot. They say, I'll do it later, maybe next year. Let's see what happens. What they don't realize is that this is still a choice, and it is the most dangerous one. Because when you don't choose your future, the world chooses it for you. And the world does not care about your dreams. There is no such thing as I had no choice. You always had a choice, you just didn't like the pain that came with the better option. You chose the easier pain. Every time you say, I had no choice, you give away your power. If you want to change your life, stop searching for a single big decision. Instead, choose to wake up early. Choose to read a few pages. Choose to skip junk food. Choose to say no to distractions. Choose to speak up when you're scared. Choose to sit with your pain instead of escaping it. Choose to move forward even when it hurts. These small, painful, uncomfortable choices build the version of you that you dream of becoming. But you will never meet that version until you start making the choices that version would make. Take a deep breath because everything I just said means one thing. You are the architect of your life. You are not stuck. You are not broken. You are not helpless. You just have to choose differently. And once you do, your entire life will start changing. Slowly, silently, powerfully. This is the choice that separates most people from the few who rise. The choice between comfort and pain. Comfort feels safe, warm, familiar. But comfort has a dark side. Kills dreams. It weakens confidence. Trains your brain to avoid effort. Convinces you that tomorrow is a better time to start. Comfort creates a life that looks peaceful but feels empty. Pain, on the other hand, is uncomfortable. It demands courage. But it builds character, strength, discipline. Pain is where your old self dies and your new self is born. Pain gives you what comfort never can. A life you are proud of. Imagine walking into a building with 2 rooms. Room 1 is comfort. A soft bed, warm lights, perfect temperature, unlimited food, entertainment on the screen. Everything feels easy. No effort, no struggle. But when you look into the back of the room, you see something. People with empty eyes. People who never started anything. People who wasted their talent. People who had potential but never used it. People who regret their entire life. Everything is comfortable but the energy is dead. Now walk into the second room. Pain. Cold floor. Hard work. Mental struggle. Sweat. Effort. Discomfort. The people here are tired. The people here are pushing. The people here are grinding. The people here are choosing discipline. The people here are choosing growth. They fall but they get up. They fail but they try again. They break but they rebuild. They are not perfect, they are improving. When you stand in this room, you feel something powerful. Life, energy, purpose, fire. Both rooms are uncomfortable. One is physically comfortable but emotionally painful. The other is physically painful but emotionally powerful. So the real question is, which pain do you want, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret? Because the pain of discipline lasts a short moment, but the pain of regret lasts a lifetime. Most people spend their whole lives choosing the comfortable conversation, the comfortable routine, the comfortable choice, the comfortable path. And they never realize that comfort stole their future. Listen carefully. Discomfort is the price of your future. Pay it every day. That is the first choice. The next choice. Responsibility versus blame. This choice changes everything. More than motivation, more than goals, more than discipline. This is the choice that turns an ordinary person into an unstoppable one. Most people wake up and immediately choose blame. They blame circumstances. They blame their past. They blame their parents. They blame society. They blame luck. They blame their partner. They blame their job. They blame everything except themselves. Blame is addictive. Blame feels good for a moment. Blame protects your ego. Blame convinces you that nothing is your fault. But every time you blame someone else, you lose power over your life. Blame makes you a prisoner. Responsibility sets you free. Humans blame because it removes guilt. Blame says, "It's not my fault. I couldn't do anything." And in that moment you feel safe. But it's fake safety. Because when you blame, you give control to someone else. If someone else is responsible for your life, then you cannot change anything. You become powerless, weak, helpless, and without realizing it, you become a victim of your own choices. Responsibility is the birth of power. It is not about guilt. It is not about shame. It is not about saying, "I'm wrong." Responsibility means, "This is my life, and I choose what happens next." Responsibility gives you control. It gives you strength. It gives you direction. The moment you take responsibility, your life stops being random and starts becoming designed. Imagine a man sitting in a room. In front of him is an empty chair. He blames that chair for everything. My life is bad because of that chair. I failed because of that chair. I have no confidence because of that chair. I am unhappy because of that chair. Every morning he wakes up, looks at it, and says, "You ruined my life." One day, someone walks in and asks, "Why don't you just remove the chair?" The man becomes silent. He realizes something shocking. The chair wasn't controlling his life. His choice to keep blaming it was. He could have removed the chair at any time, but he didn't. Not because he couldn't, because blaming the chair was easier than changing himself. Now think about your life. What is your chair? A person, a relationship, a memory, a mistake, a fear, an excuse, a situation. You can remove it, but you don't because it's easier to blame than to change. Blaming is emotional comfort. Responsibility is emotional growth. Blame feels good today. Responsibility feels good forever. Blame protects your ego. Responsibility builds your character. Blame keeps you stuck. Responsibility sets you free. Your life improves the moment you say, "My life is my responsibility. Not the world's, not my circumstances, not my past." This single declaration has changed millions of lives. It will change yours too. Because responsibility gives you back the one thing you forgot you had: power. Power to change. Power to rebuild. Power to become someone new. Power to rewrite your future. The next choice: growth versus excuses. You say you want to grow. You say you want a better life. You say you want success, confidence, freedom. But then you don't do what it takes. Why? Because when growth knocks at your door, you don't open it. You cover it with excuses. I don't have time. I'm too tired. I'm not ready. I don't know how. I'll do it later. What if I fail? What if they laugh? Every excuse feels real, but it's not truth. It's a trap. Because every time you choose an excuse over growth, you're not avoiding pain, you're creating a weaker version of yourself. And the more you choose excuses, the more excuses become your personality. Excuses are easy to believe because they sound like reasons. They feel logical. They sound smart. But they don't protect you, they slowly kill your potential. They convince you that later is okay. They tell you the timing isn't right. They make you feel safe for now but lost forever. Your future is waiting, but it will not wait forever. There is a voice inside you, a small one, a quiet one. It says, you can be more. You can do more. You were made for more. But every time you make an excuse, that voice fades. And eventually it disappears. And when it's gone, you look in the mirror and no longer recognize yourself. You ask, what happened to me? And the answer is 1,000 tiny excuses. Imagine two people standing in front of an elevator. This elevator opens rarely, and it leads to the level of success. One person runs to it, steps inside, and presses the button. The other says, I'm not ready. Maybe there's a better elevator. What if I don't belong there? Let me wait. The doors close. When they open again, the first person is far ahead, while the second is still standing in the same place. Growth is the elevator. Excuses are the door you never enter. Every person you admire chose growth when it was painful, lonely, scary. The only difference between them and you is that they chose differently. Stop thinking growth is about motivation. Growth is a battle, you versus you, and the only way to win is to choose. No more excuses. Not someday, now. And here is the next choice. Long-term versus short-term. Every day you choose between two paths, the long-term reward or the short-term pleasure. You often don't realize you're choosing, because short-term pleasure is everywhere. Eat junk food or cook something healthy. Scroll endlessly or read a single page. Gossip or work. React emotionally or breathe and reflect. Spend impulsively or save for something meaningful. Tiny decisions every hour. And each one either makes you stronger or silently destroys the future you could have had. Your brain is wired for the short term. It wants sugar. It wants dopamine. It wants right now. And if you don't train your mind, you will lose your life to temporary pleasure. This is how people become addicted to scrolling, escaping, buying, blaming, laziness, chaos. They keep choosing what feels good for a moment. And a life can feel empty for decades without you realizing why. Imagine a man digging a hole. Every time he eats junk food, he digs deeper. Every time he avoids his goals, he digs deeper. Every time he escapes reality, he digs deeper. Years pass and one day he looks up. The hole is so deep he can't even see the light anymore. Here's the painful truth. He never noticed he was digging. He thought he was just living, relaxing, enjoying the moment. That's how short-term choices work. They never feel like destruction, but they quietly shape it. Now imagine someone else. They choose the hard things, reading, working, saving, showing up. At first it's boring, difficult, lonely. But after years of consistency, they're not in a hole. They're standing on a mountain. Same time, same life, different choices. Every truly successful person understands this simple rule. If it feels good now, it might cost you later. If it feels hard now, it will reward you later. They sacrifice today so tomorrow can be beautiful. They delay pleasure so they can earn peace. They endure storms so they can one day stand in the sunshine. You are never punished for short-term choices. You are punished by them. And you are never rewarded for long-term choices. You are rewarded by them. So the real question isn't, how do I succeed? The real question is, what am I choosing when no one is watching? Life is not shaped by big events. It is shaped by small decisions: what you eat, what you scroll, the words you speak, the hours you waste or invest, the emotions you feed, the reactions you choose. Choose the long term every single day, especially when it's hard, especially when no one claps, especially when you're tired. Years from now, you will meet the result of the choices you make today. And when that day comes, you want to be able to say, I built this. Now let's talk about identity versus image. This is the most silent war you'll ever fight, and most people don't even know it's happening. Every day you choose whether to live by your true identity or chase the image you want others to believe. Image is who you pretend to be when people are watching. Identity is who you are when no one sees. Image is loud. Identity is quiet. Image is built through performance. Identity is built through struggle. Image lives on social media. Identity lives in your values, your truth, your vision. Image makes you look good. Identity makes you strong. The tragedy is this: the more you chase the image, the more you lose the real you. Imagine someone who posts motivation, shares progress, talks about discipline. But at night, he cries in silence. He feels fake. He feels exhausted. Why? Because he chooses image over identity. His outside looks perfect, but his inside is falling apart. And this is not rare. This is millions of people trying to be liked, approved, and seen. When you chase image, you become a slave to opinion. You perform instead of live. You impress instead of express. You hide your truth to stay accepted. And eventually, you burn out, not from effort but from pretending. The day you choose identity over image is the day your life becomes peaceful. You stop fearing judgment. You stop needing approval. You stop losing yourself in the noise. You stop pretending. You finally become real. You're not tired because you're weak. You're tired because you've been acting. Remove the mask. Choose your real self. Even if no one claps. Even if you lose likes. Even if fake friends fall away. At the end of your life, you don't want people to say, he looked successful. You want to be able to say, I was free. I was real. I was myself. Next is reaction versus reflection. This one choice determines whether your life becomes peaceful or painful. Your life is rarely ruined by events. It's ruined by how you react to them. Something goes wrong. Someone insults you. A plan fails. A person leaves. An opportunity disappears. A dream collapses. In those moments you have two options: react or reflect. Reaction is fast, emotional, impulsive. Feels like truth, but it's usually your ego screaming. Reaction leads to anger, blame, panic, drama. Reflection is calm. You breathe, zoom out, ask yourself, why did this trigger me? What can I learn? How can I respond with clarity? Reaction multiplies chaos. Reflection turns chaos into clarity. Think of boiling water. Put in a carrot, it becomes soft. Put in an egg, it becomes hard. Put in a tea bag, it transforms the water. Same heat, different outcomes. Reaction makes you soft and breakable or hard and closed. Reflection makes you transformative. Most people react to everything. Comments, delays, opinions, mistakes, and end up living in constant emotional chaos. But people who master peace reflect before they respond. They choose their energy. That's emotional control. That's mental strength. That's wisdom. Every trigger is a test. Will you react like the old you or reflect like the new you? Finally, there is the choice between being alone with your truth or being surrounded by people who only approve of your lie. Approval is addictive. You crave the likes, the compliments, the validation because deep down you don't believe you're enough without it. So you start performing your life. You say what others want to hear. You act how they expect. You smile even when you're breaking. And slowly you abandon yourself. You shrink so others feel comfortable. You silence your truth to avoid conflict. And eventually you stand in a room full of people and feel completely alone. Approval fills your notifications, but it never fills your heart. Choosing your truth, even if you stand alone, is how you reclaim your life. At the end of your journey, you want to be able to say, I lived honestly. I lived courageously. I lived as myself. Choosing to walk alone means choosing your own path. Even if no one claps, you stand in your truth. Even if it's uncomfortable, you accept being misunderstood for the sake of being real. It isn't loneliness. It isn't isolation. It's self-respect. And that changes everything. There was once a painter whose work was beautiful, raw, and honest. But it didn't match the trends. People told him, change your style. Make what sells. He refused. He chose truth over approval. And for years he was ignored. But one day, the world caught up to his authenticity, and his art became immortal. He was never liked by everyone, but he was remembered forever because he didn't follow the crowd, he followed his soul. You weren't born to be understood by everyone. You were born to understand yourself. And sometimes that means being alone for a while. But that silence, that solitude, that resistance becomes the foundation of greatness. If you depend on the world's applause, you will dance like a puppet forever. But if you can clap for yourself, you become unstoppable. Don't chase approval, chase alignment. That is where freedom begins. Every day you face the choice between acting now or postponing life for later. Later feels safe. Later feels organized. Later feels responsible. But it's a lie. Later slowly becomes next week, next month, next year, someday, never. And suddenly you realize your life became a long list of maybes. You delay your dreams. You delay your growth. You delay the version of yourself that could have changed everything. And what do you receive in return? Nothing but a quieter inner voice and another year wasted. Imagine a giant clock behind you. Every time you say later, the clock shrinks, but you don't notice. You still believe you have time. Then one day you look back, and the clock is gone. Not because you were weak, but because you kept delaying your life. Now is scary. Now is uncertain. Now is uncomfortable. But now is all you will ever have. If you want to change your life, start now. Speak now. Write now. Try now. Apologize now. Forgive now. Create now. Commit now. Not when it's perfect. Not when you feel ready. Not when circumstances align. Just now. Most people don't lose to failure, they lose to later. You didn't fail because you tried. You failed because you never started. And that is the most tragic ending of all. This life is limited. You don't get to choose how much time you have. You only get to choose what you do with it. So when you finish reading this, don't say you'll change tomorrow or start next week. Say, I choose now. Because that one choice can rewrite everything. Then comes the choice between forgiveness and resentment. Resentment feels heavy, dark, and strangely protective. When someone hurts you, your mind says, hold on to this pain. Letting go makes you weak. But resentment doesn't protect you. It punishes you. Every time you replay what happened, every time you hope they suffer, every time you hold on to bitterness, you aren't hurting them. You're hurting yourself. Resentment drains your peace, clouds your mind, hardens your heart, poisons your energy, and keeps old wounds alive. You cannot heal what you refuse to release. Forgiveness isn't saying what they did was okay. Forgiveness is saying what they did no longer controls you. Forgiveness is strength. Forgiveness is freedom. Forgiveness is taking your life back. Imagine holding a glass of poison someone handed you long ago. You didn't deserve it, yet every day you keep drinking it, hoping it hurts them. But it never does, it only destroys you. The moment you choose forgiveness, you drop the glass. You don't forget. You don't excuse. But you choose healing over hatred. Forgiveness gives you your peace, clarity, and future back. They may not deserve forgiveness, but you deserve freedom. And then there is the final choice. Creating versus consuming. This is the choice the modern world hides from you because society wants you distracted, dependent, and stuck. But every moment you are either creating or consuming. Consuming looks like scrolling endlessly, watching others live, filling silence with noise, comparing yourself, numbing your emotions, buying things you don't need. Consuming is easy. It makes you feel involved, but it never makes you stronger. Pulls you away from yourself. Creating is different. Creating is writing your thoughts, building your future, practicing your craft, making art, solving problems, bringing something into the world that didn't exist before. Creating is vulnerable, challenging, uncertain, but it leads to legacy. Picture two people at a table. One is watching a video about someone else's life. The other is writing a book about their own. One feels entertained. The other feels alive. What one watches will be forgotten in minutes. What the other creates may be remembered for generations. Same moment, same environment, different choice. Every hour spent consuming teaches your brain to escape. You become reactive instead of proactive, passive instead of powerful, a follower of others instead of a creator of your own life. But the moment you create, your mind awakens. Your soul lights up. You begin designing the life you were meant to live. If you don't create your life, you will end up consuming someone else's. You will wear their brand, watch their story, like their posts, follow their dream, buy their product, work in their company, while your own potential fades away. The world doesn't need more people who scroll. It needs more people who build. And you can start right now. With one idea, one sentence, one action, one decision. Stop watching life. Start shaping it. You've now seen the truth. Your life is shaped by your choices. Small choices, silent choices, choices no one sees. Those are the ones that define your destiny. Your life won't be defined by what you hoped for or dreamed of or almost did. Your life will be defined by what you chose, when it was hard, when it was lonely, when it was uncomfortable. The power has always been within you. You simply weren't choosing to use it. Until now, your future isn't waiting for luck. It's waiting for a better choice. Make it today. Start now. And never go back. Go choose your life before someone else chooses it for you. If you'd like, I can also, White Medium Star, turn this into a speech. White Medium Star, compress it into a powerful short script. White Medium Star, rewrite it for a video voiceover. White Medium Star, make it more poetic, aggressive, softer, or motivational.